is much too much, or wouldn't you say? A second is too short, an eon too long. A week is just stupid, and so is this song. Ooh, everybody's got a half an hour. Haven't you got a half an hour? This bill only needs a half an hour. So come in and stay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Kirchenbauer Haffenhauer. I'm Bill Kirchenbauer. I'm the host of the show. We're coming to you live from Bangkok, Thailand, the video podcasting capital of the world, or at least as far as I'm concerned. The opening, I want to give credits to Jason Willett for the music. He actually sings it too. And my friend Mike Clark, who did the video. And I think it's very entertaining. And it pretty much spells it out. My wife hates that. When I showed it to her, beginning she doesn't like that effect with my mouth moving like that. So anyway, this is our third podcast, and we're working out little problem, little technical stuff. Paul Brumbaugh is with us. Paul, you want to show you a picture of yourself there so they'll know he's a human. He lives in the Bay Area, and this is amazing technology that I can sit on my ass in a cubicle here in Bangkok, Thailand, at 11:42 at night, and he is in the Bay Area in San Francisco at 11:42 in the morning. So it's and we can talk, and it's in color and stereo. it's pretty good. It's great. So this is our third show, and I think you learn as you go along. And the motto of our show is I talk to myself all the time anyway, so you might as well listen in. And that's pretty much what it is. I'm playing with some ideas of maybe some guests, but mostly it's just me and Paul sitting here, and I talk about what is on my mind. And I want to tell you one thing here. We'll start this off. I find science, or as I got older, science pretty interesting. But in case you don't know it, that big thing, that big glary thing up in the sky there during the day that's bright and you can't look at it or you'll burn your eyeballs out. Well, that was originally the original God, because primitive man, they thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it gave them light and heat, and that was the most powerful looking thing in the world. And so the first God was the sun, and the sun does have a lot of effects on us. So I watched this guy named Stefan Burns. He's on YouTube, and he talks about the sun and lately and the planets. And it's not astrology; it's astronomy. A lot of people don't know the difference. And he talks about how there's a lot of activity on the sun. And when the sun has its little sun farts or sun burps, it causes, and it's so huge. You have no idea how big it is. There's like 5,000 Earths that can fit into the sun. That's how, in fact, it might be bigger than that. And it's really, really, really hot. And it has its own atmosphere, and it gives off these electromagnetic radiation explosions when it has, a little indigestion. And these things go flying through the air, and they affect us. And everything is all held together by gravity. And gravity is what causes just about everything in every way. If you're a mass, you attract things and you pull things in, and you pull and push, and it's all scientific. It's way above me, but I understand the basics. So the sun has been recently having these unusually massive sun, not just spots, they're explosions, and they're huge. And it takes about 5 hours, and they hit us. It's happened before. It's been documented, and it will screw with your electronics. And it will hit part of the earth, and it just can go through. I hate to see if we ever get a bad one. And also it has to do with the alignment of the planets. And at one point last month, all the planets were like in alignment. And we were having big earthquakes, lots of big earthquakes, and lots of volcano activity. Lots of volcanic activity and earthquakes. So it's affecting our Earth. Really, it's so far away, but it's so big, and it has all this magnetic energy that sends towards us, and it will affect us. So, why does this concern you? Well, there's not much you can do about it, okay? But you can do a little bit of something, and that is to protect your phone. Now, I'm not selling these, okay? But I want to tell you about this. My wife got this for me. It's called a Faraday bag. There you go. That's what it's, a little pouch, and it's I think it's got like metal input into it. And yeah, if you look in the side there, you'll see. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get it right. Yeah, you can see it's like a metallic kind of thing, and it will protect your phone. I don't know. You can get them on Amazon. You can probably get them. I get them over here down the street, but you can put like two phones in here, and at least you can save. It's like getting hit with a laser gun. It will destroy electronics. So I suggest these are cheap. You'll get about 5 hours notice if it really goes sideways. We had a couple of them, and it did affect things. If you've noticed, maybe a couple of weeks ago you were having problems with your computer. Well, it's just no. Of course, I said to her, "What good is it if your phone is okay, but the rest of the internet and the phone system is all fucked up?" So I don't know. Just a little thing. It's called a Faraday. It was named after Faraday, who was a big electronics spec back in the early 1900s or something. Anyway, so that's a little suggestion. Moving on. I have a lot of friends that are Facebook fans and friends and people that follow me on Facebook and this podcast that are comedians. What do you know about that? Comedian. Paul does comedy, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so Paul is a comedian, a lot of comedians, and I always talk to them, and sometimes they have problems with venues. And I just recently had a problem with a venue just last week. I produced a show. I'm not going to go into it, but it's a show that I sell to performing arts centers, casinos, things like that. And I have my friends sometimes say, "Well, I got screwed by this comedy club. They booked me, and then they decided to do this, and then when it came time to pay me, it wasn't the same thing, or they said they'd pay airfare, and then they didn't." And I say to them, "Did you get a contract?"
Mm-hmm.
And more often than not, and these are like professional guys, they say, "Well, no." I go, "Well, you're an idiot." I said, I don't have a guy come in and clean my upholstery or my carpeting without getting a contract. And it's not about, oh, might screw me, and I might, it's really, sometimes it just avoids misunderstandings. So, and there's nothing wrong with it. Call it a deal memo. And if you're dealing with clubs, and the clubs always feel like they have the upper hand, and they do, because there's millions of comedians, they all want to get on stage. And I find too many comedians are afraid if they say contract to a club that they'll go, "Well, contract? Well, no." Well, if they do say no, they have a reason. That means they want to be able to cancel you at the end, at the last minute, or that they don't intend to live up to some of the things that you may or may not have agreed to, or you're just going in there with your hat in your hand and you're in a position. But I was never like that. I don't do anything. I saved my ass so many times. And I'm going to tell you a story about one. It was in Chicago. It was at a place called the Funny Firm. And nice name for a comedy club. And I knew the guy who had the radio show, who produced the radio show at the top radio station in town there. And he asked me, "Hey, if you did this comedy club, you could come on every day during that week and promote your club." And my manager at the time told the club, and they went, "Oh, that's great, that's great." My show, I think, was kind of running, or just got done running, and my sitcom. And I went in, and my manager made a deal with him for 3 times. I was supposed to play 3 times. Okay, I was going in for a one-nighter, then I was coming back for a two-nighter, and then I was coming back for another two-nighter with about 2 months in between. So I got invited to this, and we sent them a contract, and they signed it, and that was the deal. Now I'll tell you this too: even if you are one of the smart people that I know, comedians that use a contract, I'm going to give you a 2-word ass-saving, 2 words that'll save your ass. It did mine. It's called agreement to arbitrate. I guess it's 3 words. Agreement to arbitrate. In other words, or in longer words, you make them agree to arbitrate if there's any kind of problem. Why? Because lawyers are expensive. And depending on if it's not stated that way, then if you want to sue them because they didn't want to short you $1,000, you'd have to go get one, you'd have to fly back there. So I always had an arbitration clause. That's the 2 words I was trying to come up with. Arbitration clause. And what it says is, if you and I have a problem, we will be arbitrating it. You will agree already upon signing this contract that if we have a disagreement, that you will arbitrate in my state, in my town, here. Very simple. It's like 3 sentences, maybe. Very few places notice it, and they should have no problem with it. And what that means is that you take it to arbitration instead of paying an attorney $10,000 to put them on hold. That you can arbitrate it through, and arbitration is nationwide. It's like one big jury system. It crosses state lines, and particularly with businesses, it enables you to have them get a sheriff wherever you are, and go in and say, "Hi there, it's the end of the night. Give me everything that's in your cash register." Don't try, provided you win the arbitration. So I put this in this contract, and I had this 3-deal gig with them. I went in the first night, and this was for a lot of money. I'm not going to say how much, but it was a lot of money. So I went in and did the first night, and I noticed that the place was pretty darn rowdy. I mean, people were moving from table to table and just yelling out stuff. And I did my show, but they were harassing the people. And, and I asked them where security was, and they showed me this guy who was, about 5 foot tall. My wife could kick his ass. And I thought, this is not a great, this is kind of rough. So I told my manager. And so what I decided to do was go back. A second time I had to go back for 2 nights. I decided that I was going to hire a bodyguard. Plus, first of all, I was in Chicago, and I was coming away from the club on the last night with a lot of money. And I decided that I was going to hire a bodyguard and have him walk me up to the stage, just like Elvis. And I told him, I said, walk me up to the stage. I forget what his name was. His name was Larry. And he wasn't a thug. He wasn't a gangster. He was a bodyguard, professional bodyguard, carried a gun. He was a black guy, did a lot of singers and people like that. And I don't know, I paid him a couple $100 a night, and he was a professional. He was a good guy. And so I said, now when you walk me up to the stage, turn around and eyeball the audience and give them a "don't you dare. Don't you dare." And then you walk off. I said, that should deter them. So I did this. So the first night I walk up, and the first show was good. Second show, sure enough, sure shit, some guy yelled. I said something. I was in the city, and the guy yelled, "What city?" I said, "It doesn't matter what city." "What city?" He was starting to heckle me. He was harassing me. Bill's going to pull his $200 a night trigger. So I said, Henry, or whatever his name was, I said, would you come down here and address this guy? And he did. He went down and grabbed the guy, didn't grab him, put his hand on his shoulder. And he was a big guy. He put his hand on his shoulders and whispered to him, like, I don't know what he said, but he got him up and he got him out and walked him out. And the audience didn't like this. They did not like a removal of one of theirs from the audience. It was like, I said, hey, fuck him. I said, did you pay to hear him, or did you pay to hear me? They calmed down afterwards. But they took this guy out and took him upstairs to the bar that was upstairs. And did they kick him out? No. They refunded us money, and they bought him a bottle of Dom Perignon. And when I found out that, I thought, you son of a bitch. Well, why would you do that? The guy disrupted the show. I simply removed him like you should have. So anyway, I did the 2 nights. I got my money. I went home. Next day, I get a call from my manager. He says, they don't want you coming back. I said, really? He said, yeah, they don't want you coming back. I said, well, fine. Have them send me. I will tell you how much it was. It was $7,500 for 2 nights. And I said, fine. Have them send me the $7,500 and we'll call it even. He said, well, they don't want to do that. I said, well, have them look at the contract where it says that they arbitrate. We can do that. I go down here, I pay the arbitration people $250. They'll send him a binding arbitration demand that he come here to Los Angeles and we will settle this. And if you don't show up, then I automatically win. And then I get an arbitration judgment and a cop will come in and take your fucking money one night. I said, explain that to him, see what they say. Well, he did. He called me back. And my manager at the time was a guy too. Oh, they didn't like that idea that this guy, the bodyguard was black either. And this is in Chicago. They didn't like the bodyguard was black. So my manager, who his name was Bernie Young, who was also black, by the way, he was a New York cop. And he said to me, he went on to manage Rosie O'Donnell and run her show when she had her talk show. But he had this very deep voice, and he said, Bill, I can't believe you have the balls to go back there after this confrontational kind of. I said, fuck him. I said, I want the $7,500. He said, okay, you're more of a man than I am. And I said, fine. So come the third date, I go and I fly in, and I go to the club that night, and the 2 managers are standing at the door like this, with their arms crossed. So I walked up and I said, hi, guys, how you doing? And they said, you're going on first. Do 10 minutes, and that's it. And I said, oh, okay. Now, I know that they thought they were going to piss me off, that I was going to have some sort of big celebrity hotshot. Oh, I'm a star. I can't go on first. I can't only do 10 minutes. I knew they thought that was going to happen. And I've never been in this for my ego. So I said, okay, fine. Because if you think you're going to piss me off, it ain't going to happen. It's not going to happen. Thank you for making me the highest paid opening act in the history of comedy clubs. So I was there for 2 nights. I went in. They hired a guy named Frankie Pace who did props, and I did 10 minutes, and he could barely follow me. And then I would wave at the guys and go across the street and eat at the Chinese restaurant right at the window there. And they'd come out and they'd look at me over there eating, and I'd wave at them. Hey, hi. And it's just pissed them off all the more. But I did my 20 minutes. And the last night, I went up to get paid, and this girl was going to pay me. She had to pay me, and she had a bad attitude. And I said, look, it's not between you and me. It's their money. You're giving me their money, so don't be such a bitch, okay? And have a nice day. So she paid me my money. But the gist of this whole story is always get a contract. Always get a contract. That is what is important. And for anything. And anybody that won't sign a contract with you, don't do business with them. And recently, which brought this one up, is that I had a conflict with a venue in San Antonio who booked my show. Not me again, not me. This is a show I produce. and they canceled the first one because it wasn't selling enough tickets or something. And the agent who had been talking to me at the first called up the performer, the artist, and said, "Oh, we want to cancel the show." And he called me up, and I said, "Well, why is he calling you? That's not how shit works. You have an agent. I'm the manager. I produce the show." So I called the guy up and said, "Hey, why are you calling my artist and talking to him about this stuff?" And he said, "Hey, motherfucker, I want to fuck you up. Who do you know who I'm?" This is exactly what he said. Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know who you're talking to? I'm going to kill you. I'm going to fuck you up. And at that point, I hung up. I've been doing this for 40 years, and I've never, ever have anybody threaten to kill me. And I'm going to tell you what it is because I have no problem with it. It was a representative of Woodlawn Comedy Theater in San Antonio. And I had heard things about them before, and that's why I luckily, number two, arbitration agreement, or number one, arbitration agreement. Number two, get a deposit. So we had some sort of a deposit.
Yeah.
And and these people reneged not once, and I had to eat an airline ticket. And I told them, I said, this is going to be some expenses accrued and changing this. I said, I don't have a problem moving it, but I bought an airline ticket and I have to eat it. They won't refund it. They won't let me reuse it. And then I rebooked it again. And they had called me up and said, "Oh, the weather's going to be bad down here. We have to cancel it again." And there was another airline ticket for less this time, $250. And they canceled it. And then they wouldn't buy tickets for the third scheduled thing. They wouldn't reimburse me for the other airline tickets. And they ghosted us. They just didn't want to have it. So there's a guy named Shane, and Chris Williams is the guy that threatened my life. And just don't deal with that. But the whole thing that saved this, and that at least I got something out of all this aggravation, was the fact that I had a contract, and it was a binding contract, and I got a deposit. Otherwise, it would have been 6 months of just bullshit, signing contracts, rewriting contracts, rescheduling stuff, and I just said, well, that was it. But that's one of the worst experiences I've had in a long time. And you can save yourself a lot of trouble by getting a contract. Always, adults get contracts. No one should be insulted that you want to sign a contract. Call it a deal memo if you want to, but get a contract. And I tell that to every comedian there is that I meet, and they're coming up. I said, get a contract. It's called show business for a reason. So that's my little spiel on that.
I almost feel like that's a PSA for every comedian. I don't care how long you've been doing comedy. I don't care if you've been doing it a week. You've been doing it 40 years, right? Cover a CYA, cover your ass.
Right. And I think that's a good way to put it, Paul. It's a little advice for every comedian. It's to show you you got to make money off of this too. And club owners, I hate to say it, I've had a couple who were very good friends of mine, but most of them are not very nice people. They look at comedians as a commodity.
Right.
We need some more beer, get some napkins, and we'll get some comedians. Most of them don't know diddly dick about comedy. They just happen to have a bar, or had some money, and decided to open a comedy club.
And half of them do have an opinion how it should be done, and it's like, no, stick to slinging your drinks.
Yeah,
right?
people. I call that people that can't, judging or trying to tell people who can how to do it.
Right.
And I knew there's a comedian or there's a club owner in Sacramento. This guy was such an idiot. He asked me how to introduce myself. How do you want me to introduce you? And I said, well, I was in the movie Airplane. I was on he was on the Tonight Show 14 times, and this and that, and he was in the movie Airplane for 3 seconds. And this moron goes, I said, that'll get you a laugh. See, just like you did. It gets a
Right.
laugh.
Right.
So I said, and then you say he was in the movie Airplane for 3 seconds. That'll get you a laugh. So this idiot, he's so stupid. He goes up on stage, and this guy, he collects the ticket money at the door. He goes up, he's wearing jeans, and he's got money sticking out of his front pockets, just wads of money. And he attempted to do comedy, and he was terrible. He was absolutely terrible. And he was just an idiot. And so I just
he probably bobbled your intro.
That's the point I was trying to make. That's the point. Thank you for bringing me back. So I
That's
said
all right.
In the movie for 3 seconds, he gets up there and goes, "This is Bill Kirchenbauer," blah, 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 and occasionally you'll see him on the airplane.
Oh no! Oh
And then
no!
one of
Now
the
you know why he had a failed attempt as being a comedian.
Yeah, couldn't get it right. Couldn't get it right.
Can't even get a simple one-liner. Can't get a one-liner joke.
I was working with a band one time on an army base, and they had their break, and I was supposed to be after them. And the lead singer comes over and goes, "Hey, you want me to introduce you?" And I said, "Sure." He said, "What's your name?" I said, "Bill Kirchenbauer." He goes, "Okay." So he goes over the microphone. He leans into the microphone and goes, "Bill Kirchenbauer."
We're 20. Just to let you know, we're at the 5-minute warning.
Yeah.
But that's funny. So again, remember this, comedians, kind of a recap. Get that contract. Get a deposit. That deposit should cover whatever expenses, if it's an airline ticket or whatever. But get that 50% non-refundable deposit and cover your butt.
Just a show of good faith.
That's all I'm saying.
I want to show you some pictures. Paul's got some pictures here.
And right.
When I used to hang out with Gallagher a lot, he would always tell me that people were nothing but moo cows. And when he says that, and Paul, you're not going to like this. I saw you today, and you're seemed to be. What did I do? I had it here, but it was just show these. This happens to be Adam Carolla.
There you go.
You've seen him, been around, and then the next guy, he was on there with him, and they were talking about. I didn't realize Adam was such a right wing guy. He's like a Trumper, actually. And so
he's converted a lot over the years.
Oh, has he? Okay, and so there's another thing. Now, do you see anything in common here with these people? Next thing.
Yeah, they're all their baseball caps are backwards, like I had mine.
Not all of them. Not all of them. And there's another one. Yeah.
But they're all wearing baseball caps.
They're all wearing baseball caps.
Like I am today.
You want to put up a picture of yourself now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I know how this goes. I'm that guy. Here I am.
There you are. Now, I always wonder, and if you notice, I've gone to this too. This seems to be some sort of a male nose up the ass of the other guy in front of you kind of look. The only thing missing is the beards, seems to be part of the thing. And then the dark sunglasses. Mm-hmm. There's this guy named Dusty Slade that wears, and then there's another comedian I put it on. And all I'm just saying is, first of all, beards don't help you. Anything that hides your face for a comedian. Right. And I see these guys wearing, first of all, why are you wearing a hat? When I was a kid, and I know people don't give a fuck about manners anymore because they're so self-concerned. It doesn't make a difference if I, pick my nose at the table or whatever. But I was always told you don't wear a hat inside.
Right.
Now, I have baseball caps. I wear baseball caps. But when I go in and sit down at a nice dinner, I don't put a baseball cap on.
Right.
And I always say, why are you wearing a baseball cap? Do you have a raincoat too you're going to put on? Do you think the roof is going to cave in and you're going to get wet? Why are you wearing a baseball cap? I think some guys, they're going bald and they're too cheap or whatever to buy a toupee. But
there you go.
The look of the American male is this baseball thing, and especially with people that are on podcasts with the headphones and the baseball cap. Quit following the ass of the moo cow in front of you. Get your own look. Here's a look. You know, what does it look like? It looks like me. And do I wear a hat? Yes, but I actually refused to eat dinner with a guy once because he had a baseball. And there's a scene from The Sopranos someone has sent to me where Tony goes over and tells some kid at a nice restaurant, hey, take off your hat. Take off your fucking hat. And the guy looks at him and he takes his hat off. So,
well, we got
anyway,
people. We have people in church on Sundays that are wearing their baseball caps, but the pastor's just happy to see you in church, so you're lucky.
Yeah, but see, that's
and
disrespectful.
And then you're right. I was always told, don't hide your face because you're
Right.
a comedian. You're not hiding anything. So the only reason I have this pencil beard is because I have a triple chin. And I have the turkey gobbler. Where is it? There.
I see.
And so if I draw a line on my face with a beard, it makes me look like I have a defined chin line.
I see. That's
so
fine.
that's only, and then this is because I am bald.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving away the free advertising space. It would say eat at Joe's or whatever with a flashing light, right?
I've been bald since I was 21 years old. People ask me, how long have you been bald? When I was 21 years old, people thought I was 35. And I got to tell you, there was a lot of comedians that I started out with, good-looking guys, used to get a lot of girls, and they had tons of hair and stuff. And I look at them now and I go, God, I look better than they do.
Right.
I look better than they do. Because I've always looked kind of old.
Because you've been embracing it for years, right? So
I've been embracing it for years. That's right. And I say to myself, this is the way I've always. And people say, God, you look the same as you do when you were 35. I said, thank you very much, but I paid for it when I was 35 because I looked like I was 60. But
and the reason you look younger than you did then is because just recently you got rid of the side hair.
That's right. I got rid of my
and you lost about 10 years of your life right there, dude.
I guess
instantly.
So. I guess so. I guess so. My wife taught me that. She said, the more hair you wear on your side, I used to kind of wear my hair long as like on the side. She said it accentuates your baldness, and she was right. Anyway, that's show 3. We've ran over by 2 minutes.
By a couple minutes. There's your instant. Your social media's up above.
Give me a ticket, and I'll make it up to the next time. Take care. Are those comments that we're getting?
So those are the comments. If you guys were commenting in real time, they would be over there. Also, hey, go check out Bill on all these different social medias on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. I think that's it. We're digging it, man.
Okay,
it's the Kirchenbauer Haffenhauer.
Come back next week. Kirchenbauer half an hour on Sunday nights. And Paul and I will see you then. Take care.